You know, when you're talking to an AI and it just gets you? Well, it definitely doesn't start out that way. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how an AI goes from just a massive, chaotic mess of data to the helpful assistant you can actually chat with. I mean, it's pretty wild, right? These things can write a poem, debug your code, explain quantum physics. They know so much. But all that raw knowledge is really just the beginning. So, how do we teach them to be not just smart, but also genuinely helpful and, safe? How do we get them on our wavelength? Well, spoiler alert, it's not magic. It's actually a really fascinating step-by-step process, and it's called post-training. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into. Okay, so first up, the raw AI brain. And yeah, that subtitle says it all. Brilliant, but biased and unhelpful. Let's picture what we're starting with here. You've got this brand new AI that's just been pre-trained. Think of it like a super genius who's literally read the entire internet. Incredible, right? But it has absolutely zero social skills. None. Kind of useless in a real conversation. And this chart, this really shows you what I'm talking about. We're looking at how well that raw AI brain does on this massive, super hard academic test. And check it out. The top bar, English, its score is through the roof. But then, look what happens with other languages. The performance just nosedives. Oof. So what gives? Why the huge difference? Well, it's actually pretty simple when you think about it. Where did the AI learn everything? The internet. And what language is most of the internet in? Yep, English. The AI isn't trying to be biased. It's just a mirror. It's just showing us exactly what's in the data we gave it. And that's not the only problem. There's an even bigger one, actually. This raw model, it wasn't built to have a conversation. At its very core, its only job is to guess the next word in a sentence. That's it. So if you ask it, what's the capital of France? Its first instinct isn't to say Paris. It's to finish your sentence. Like, maybe, is a very interesting question. Super unhelpful, right? Okay, so we've got this raw, brilliant, but broken AI brain. How do we fix it? Well, that brings us to our next section. Teaching an AI manners. This was basically the first and most important step in its post-training education. And the official name for this is supervised fine-tuning, or SFT for short. And the whole idea is pretty simple, actually. You teach it by showing it a ton of really high-quality examples of what it should do. It's a pretty logical process. You start with that raw model we just talked about. Then, a team of people creates literally thousands of perfect conversations, a prompt, and the ideal response. Then you just show all those good examples to the model. And what happens? The model starts to learn. It picks up on the patterns and begins to copy that helpful behavior. There's a really great term for this, behavior cloning. It's perfect, right? We're not writing a bunch of complicated rules. We're just demonstrating good behavior over and over and over again, and the AI learns to clone it. It's just like how you might teach a kid good manners by showing them, not just telling them. Okay, so let's move on to the next stage, choosing the better answer, because things are about to get a little more complicated than just simple right and wrong. So that first step is great, but what happens when there isn't one single correct answer? I mean, think about it. If you ask an AI to summarize a movie or write a poem, there are tons of good ways to do that. So how in the world does it learn to pick the one we'd actually like the most? And this is where we see a really crucial shift. Supervised fine-tuning, that first step, is all about teaching the AI the correct answer. But this next phase, which we'll call human feedback training, is about teaching it the preferred answer. It's a subtle but super important difference. It's all about teaching the AI our taste and our judgment. So here's how they do it. You give the AI a prompt, like, tell me about parrots. The AI then spits out a few different answers. You can see here responses A, C, and E. Then a human comes in and ranks them. They'll say, C is the best one, A is pretty good, and E is just okay. And by doing this millions of times, you build this massive library of human preferences. All that ranking data gets fed back into the model. And what this does is it starts to teach the model nuance. It helps the AI's own judgment start to look a little more like ours. It's not just about facts anymore, it's about style, tone, and what's genuinely helpful. So let's look at our next big challenge, when AIs make things up. I love the subtitle, The Ghost in the Machine, because even after all this training, things can still get a little weird. So after all that work, is the AI finally fixed? Well, not quite.
There's this stubborn issue where the AI has a tendency to just make stuff up. And honestly, it's one of the biggest headaches for the people building these things. The official term for this is hallucination. It's when the AI generates something that is totally wrong, maybe even complete nonsense, but it says it with so much confidence, it sounds completely sure of itself, even when it's just inventing facts out of thin air.
This is a real and kinda hilarious example. Someone showed an AI a picture of a shampoo bottle and asked what the ingredients were, and the AI came back and said, with total confidence, the product is a bottle of milk. Ingredients 1, milk, 2, vitamin D. It wasn't just a little wrong, it was fantastically wrong, and it built this whole little story around its mistake. And this has a name too. It's called a snowballing hallucination. It's a great description because that's exactly what happens. It makes one wrong assumption, like the shampoo is actually milk, and then instead of backing off, it just keeps rolling downhill, inventing more and more details to support that first crazy idea. But here's the really wild part. You remember that human feedback training we just talked about? The stuff that's supposed to make the AI better? Well, one study found that it can actually make these hallucinations worse. Isn't that crazy? It seems like when we push the AI to be more creative and helpful, we might also be accidentally encouraging it to make things up when it doesn't know the answer. Okay, so let's do a super quick recap of this whole training journey. We start with that raw biased model. Then we teach it some good behavior with lots of examples. After that, we help it develop better judgment with all that human feedback. And all the while, we're fighting this constant battle to stop it from just confidently making things up. And all of this leaves us with a really big, kind of tricky question to think about. We're spending all this time and energy teaching an AI our preferences, but whose preferences are we talking about? We all have different values, different opinions, so as we make these AIs better, we really have to ask, whose version of better are we building into them?
Definitely something to chew on. Thanks so much for joining me on this one.